Normally, when we get together, the police department's here, we're talking about what is the police department going to do to come in and solve a problem. And we know very easily, very quickly on, it's not the police department that's here to solve problems, it's actually the community that's here to solve problems in groups like this. And I think few people are aware of how much society really depends on the partnerships that are formed between law enforcement, and actually I like to call them whether public partnerships, private partnerships, and a societal partnership. And those are the partnerships that we really want to talk about today, that societal piece. And so this breakfast is a perfect example. We're here today to recognize the work of ARCHS and to support their mission. And as I was thinking about this, their mission, building partnerships for the greater good of Greater St. Louis. Building partnerships for a greater good of Greater St. Louis. And before I go any further, I want to take a moment to talk about this because I admire that slogan a lot. And from somebody that gets misquoted in the media a lot, that's a very concise, very precise mission statement. And it tells people exactly what your organization is about, how you accomplish your goals, and where you focus your efforts. When I hear the words building partnerships for the greater good of Greater St. Louis, I know several important things about ARCHS right away. I know you're here for the big picture. I know you're here to really cause generational change, to leave St. Louis in a better place than it was yesterday. And that's something that's very important to us in law enforcement. I know that the things that get done by bringing people together in organizations, because building partnerships means that. Because what building partnerships means is that you go out and you look for those opportunities for people that maybe normally don't come together, and you leverage that synergy that happens by those partnerships. And as missions go, yours doesn't get much clearer. I too believe that partnerships are for the future of St. Louis. I have to believe in them because I rely on partnerships every day and because I see them at work. We'll talk about partnerships in the region right now. The St. Louis City Police Department and St. Louis County Police Department, like you, realize that to cause change in our region, and I really truly do believe in the slogan Better Together, the reunification of the city and the county in some fashion moving forward. The police departments realize that the systemic problems that are in our region and need to be addressed as a regional issue and not as a city or a county solely. I'll give you an example. The police departments ride Metrolink together. We police the light rail system just as it's one entity. We've combined our bombing and arson units. We've combined our helicopter units, so we fly together. What I know is that the problems in the city of St. Louis aren't just germane to the city of St. Louis. Criminals that offend in the city offend in the county. Criminals that live in the county offend in the city. Just like those of us that live in the city may go to the Galleria or West County Mall to shop, go to a movie, go to dinner. People that live in St. Louis County certainly go to baseball games, hockey games, football games. So we have a real region here. And to look at just the city of St. Louis or St. Louis County without looking at it as the whole picture does us a tremendous disservice. One of the most incredible things about the public, private, and social partnerships is the voluntary way that they grow and develop. Nobody ordered us, using a police term, nobody ordered us to be here today. Retired Colonel Greg Hawkins tried to order me to give him sugar today. But nobody ordered us to be here today. We're here because we recognize and realize the need to come together to cause real change in our community. If we're going to be better together, if we're going to continue to grow in the region, we need volunteer partnerships that come together like this, that have a clear vision of how we can move St. Louis forward. Law enforcement really is, I never want to say that we can police our way out of a problem, because we can. And so let's talk about what we do in law enforcement. We get called when people are in crisis. Nobody calls the police department to say, hey, we're having a good day. Do you want to come over and just barbecue and have a beer on the patio? People call us when they're in crisis. And so what we do is have partnerships with you, groups like this, that when we find people in crisis, we try to point them in a direction that moves their lives to a better place. We arrest in the city of St. Louis between 27 and 30,000 people a year. If you think about that number in context, and Wendell said we service about 318,000 people a year, that's about 10% of the population. We arrest 10% of the population of the city of St. Louis every year. We're doing something wrong. The model is broke. What we want to do is to find a way to provide services for individuals that leave their lives a little bit better. But from my perspective, the key is to have outcomes that keep people safe. And what do I mean by that? What I see is, and Nancy McCarthy is a friend of ours from probation and parole, every Thursday morning I sit down with the command staff of the police department and talk about the problems that have happened in the city and where we're going to go forward. When we have those conversations, we identify individuals of that 27 or 30,000 that we arrest that are repeat customers. The recidivism rate for criminals in the city of St. Louis is as high as 70% in some cases. So if you think about that, for every 10 people that we arrest, we have to go out and arrest 7 of them again, because the system, and I'll talk, any judges in the room? Okay, good. I'll talk about the judges for a minute. The system doesn't provide outcomes that keep us safe. And what do I mean by that? Incarceration is not the answer. I don't want anybody to, I get misquoted all the time, well, the police said we don't need to arrest people. No, incarceration is not the right answer because it doesn't change people's lives in a significant way that gives them, when they re-enter society, have different job skills, different skill sets, social skills. It doesn't change their life. What I would like to do, what I would need is a generational solution, a solution that leaves people in a better place, whether we encounter them through incarceration or we encounter them in the elementary schools. So police work is really about finding outcomes to keep people safe, not about arresting people. If I could push that number down to 0 for the number of people we arrest, we've really done our job well. Because if you think about it, that's what we're all trying to accomplish. From my perspective in law enforcement, we're trying to keep people safe. So if we provide jobs, better educational opportunities, better social service programs, better substance abuse treatment, we can cause real change in people's lives that leave them in a better place, that they don't have to go back to that criminal enterprise. When we warehouse people in law enforcement, in prisons, that's exactly what we're doing. We're just postponing the inevitable when 7 out of 10 come back into society and reoffend. So it's an unpopular message in law enforcement. Most police officers in my business, most police officers like to do action steps. They like to go out and put their hands on somebody and arrest them because it's a verifiable metric. It's something that we do. It's really what a young officer thinks success is, being to arrest a criminal. What we know is, and working with Rick Rosenfeld, who's a criminologist at UMSL, is that of all the activities that we do, arresting people, car stops, pedestrian checks, foot beats, self-initiated activity, hotspot policing, microspot policing, of all the things that we do, arresting people has the smallest incremental effect on keeping the public safe. And so we are just spinning our wheels when we think that we can go out and arrest our way out of a problem. So when we look for public, private, and social partnerships like this, we're looking for ways to help us do our job, looking for ways to help you deliver your resources, reach a clientele, reach a group that maybe you don't have access to, or maybe don't know the services that they need to ask for. So we've seen programs that work, and we're willing to be there to partner with you. I'm looking for, and Karen Kalish is here. Karen Kalish, we do a program called Books and Badges, and we're probably one of the only police departments, or one of a very few in the country, that do this. And I'll tell you about the program. We send recruits, and our training period for recruits in the academy is 6 months. We pair recruits with kids in elementary schools in the city of St. Louis to go out, and the recruits read and write with the students once a week. And while that program sounds neat on the face value, I'm looking for a long-term investment there, and here's what I'm hoping. Because people meet police officers in the city when they're in crisis, there's always a negative feel or a negative vibe, a kind of a conflict. And so this program makes friends. It's kind of the big brothers, big sisters mentoring model. It creates a relationship where young people, kids in elementary school, get to meet a police officer, not in a time of crisis, in a situation where they can be helpful and beneficial and help move the child along. What I'm hoping is that investment in that first, second, third, fourth grader in those early years pays dividends in the long run. So as individuals who may lack strong role models, we can talk about the deterioration of the family in the urban core ad nauseum, but what I'm hoping is that there's a connection that happens between this strong role model, a police officer, a recruit in training, and these young people that as they move forward in their lives, they have something to draw on, and they realize that police officers, we are not an occupying force. We are here to support the change and support the community that's happening, the change that's happening in the community. So I want to do everything I can to change that model, because St. Louis is a great place, and I'm going to talk about the perception of crime just for a minute. There are three things that a police chief really worries about every day. The first one is, are we having a real impact on crime? Are we able to keep the community a little safer today than it was yesterday? And our efforts are working in the city of St. Louis. And I ask if any judges in the room, is there anybody from the media here? Because I'm going to talk about you really bad in a minute. If it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead on Channel 4. And so let's talk about the reality of crime in the city of St. Louis. Crime in the city of St. Louis is down 50% since 2006. 50%. What? And that's not because of us, it's actually because of you. It's because of the partnerships that we have and the efforts that we are all investing in the city of St. Louis. But that doesn't get reported. Crime in the city of St. Louis is lower than it's been since 1970. That doesn't get reported. And I'm not talking about the aggregate number, the total number, because there were more people in the city of St. Louis in 1970 than there are in 2013. I'm talking about the crimes per 1,000 people. Fewer crimes were committed per 1,000 people in the city of St. Louis in 2013 than in 1970. And stolen autos, which is a category that we've got a lot of notoriety for because it was up, we didn't get any notoriety because it's down. Last year, there were fewer cars stolen than, anybody want to take a guess what year? 1952. So in 1953, there were more cars stolen than there were in 2013. But those numbers don't get reported. That's why we talk about, you've heard Chief Belmar and I in St. Louis County and Chief Fitch before him talk about combining the region. We have to have a regional approach to crime. We have to have a regional approach to social services. And people ask, well, if you're combining your crime numbers, aren't you just trying to mask the crime in the city? And the answer is absolutely not. We will still count every crime that happens in the city. We will still count every crime that happens in St. Louis County. But why is that important, and why should you care about regionalism and crime statistics? Because as we start to talk about ways to cause change in the city of St. Louis, in St. Louis County, in the region, we have to portray an accurate picture. So those rankings that put St. Louis in the top 5 or 6 of the most dangerous places in the universe, and this year it's Detroit, Flint, Camden, Oakland, St. Louis, so we're number 5 now, do harm on so many different levels. I know there are a lot of business people here, so let's talk about the economics. The economics is what I'm most concerned about. We know that in order to cause change, we need investment, and we need investment from businesses. Danny Ludeman from Wells Fargo Advisors probably tells the best story. They wanted to relocate 800 jobs from Charlotte, Mecklenburg, their corporate headquarters, to St. Louis as they bought A.G. Edwards. People didn't want to come to St. Louis. They worked through the cost of living issues, they worked through the tax issues, they worked through the moving expenses. People didn't want to come because of the perception of crime. So we all live here, and we know that St. Louis is a beautiful place, it's a safe place, but our perception as a nation puts us in that conversation where we have to defend ourselves. Think of the convention dollars that we lose. The CVC and Katie Ratcliffe do a fantastic job of bringing business to St. Louis when they have an opportunity. How many people do their own Google search and say, oh, I don't want to go to St. Louis because it's dangerous, and they never have an opportunity to compete for that business. So we're talking about combining crime statistics for that reason, because with economic development, economic investment comes better schools, comes better infrastructure, comes better jobs, comes a variety of different things. And if we want to cause real change in the region, we need that type of investment. We need to move the region forward. So I appreciate everything that you do every day. I appreciate your regional approach, your big picture. I appreciate you reaching into the schools, reaching into the prison systems, reaching into the homes of single parents, of moms, of dads that need your assistance. Because this is the only way we are going to change what's happening in our community, in our region, is by your investment, by your belief in that. We do our part, absolutely. I would hopefully at some point like to do much less of our part. I think I won't be Pollyannish and we'll never get to zero in crime, but arresting people and the criminal justice system doesn't make the area better, it doesn't make people better, it doesn't make people safer. All it does is create an action step, and we could take that money that we're investing in law enforcement and spend it in much better places. Thank you for everything you do, and thank you for allowing me to have a few minutes of your time this morning.